You're listening to Affected by Altitude, a Colorado Rockies podcast for and by Rockies fans on Rocky Mountain Rooftop. Thank you for joining us as we discuss all things baseball and Colorado Rockies.
Welcome back here to another edition of Affected by Altitude. I'm Skyler Timmons, joined here as always by my co-host Evan Lang, and we're going to get right into it because we have somebody way more special and interesting than either two of us. But we are special guest joined here. We are excited to have one of the Rockies' top prospects, their top catching prospect, one of them in 2020 draft pick, Drew Romo, down there in Albuquerque with the Isotopes in AAA. Rockies' number 9 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline. And Drew, thank you so much for joining us. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
It's awesome. And really what we want to start off with is just we have to congratulate you on how good of a season you're having down there in Albuquerque. And I just want to ask, what do you feel has been going good for you this year? What's really clicked in for you down with the Isotopes?
Yeah, thank you. It's been a good year for me individually so far. Kind of clicking like in all areas of the game, I feel like all around. Hitting has been good, and from both sides of the plate, really. Just tied my career high for home runs in a season, which is really cool. And hitting in Albuquerque here is fun. Big outfield, a lot of grass for balls to drop in, and ball carries at altitude, so it's a lot of fun to hit here. And working with Pacheco is great. He's a great hitting coach. And also on defense, stuff is clicking as well. Been receiving the ball good, blocking good, throwing good. And I think more important than all of those too, like I'm really learning how to formulate a scouting report and a game plan and kind of come up with a plan on how we're going to attack hitters for the week and stuff like that. So it's been really good.
Mm-hmm. And something I wanted to touch on that I was thinking about is, you're kind of along the younger group, the younger guys there on the team. And so you've got a lot of guys that have played in the big leagues, both pitchers, a couple of hitters that have been there, Sam Hilliard, who you spent part of the season with so far, and a couple other guys that have been down there. How is working with some of these veteran big leaguers or guys that have tasted the big leagues, especially on the pitching end, how has that helped you develop as a catcher and get ready for when you make that next jump to the big leagues?
Yeah, it's helped me a lot. I definitely think being around these guys has helped me develop more this season than I have in any season prior to this. On the offensive side with guys like Sam Hilliard, like you mentioned, and then also on the defensive side, talking with some of the other pitchers and especially some of the older guys like John Curtis. He's one of the main guys that really helps me out. And then also like being with some older catchers as well, Willie McIver, Daniel Cope, Max Shell, who helps us out. So it's a really good group of guys, and they really help me out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Drew, you mentioned, you're working on getting, formulating scouting reports so you're preparing to call your game. I wonder, have you worked at all with Tony Wolters, who became a coach down in the Arizona Complex League, either during spring training or at all during this season?
Yeah, we worked together at spring training, and he's great guy. Love working with him. And he would watch me catch some bullpens, and we worked on some drills together, and he gave me some really good advice. So, yeah, I love working with Tony.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to take it all the way back. What got you into catching? Was it, growing up playing youth baseball, like we need somebody to catch and you volunteered, or how'd you get into this journey of becoming a catcher?
Yeah, when I was really young, when I first started playing baseball, I was mainly an infielder, mainly middle infield, shortstop, second base, a little bit of third base. And I would go to showcases and stuff and big tournaments, and there were always so many infielders and so many outfielders and so many pitchers and barely any catchers. And so I just thought it was a really easy and good way to stand out, since there's less catchers than every other position. And so I kind of got into it. And also my parents really thought that being a catcher had a lot of value and it was really important as well. And so just started working at it and got into it. And I think my infield background really helped me with my catching, good footwork, good hands, having good IQ of the game. And so all that stuff kind of went into it.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting because a lot of catchers who have come through the Rockies organization, even Willie Mack, Tony Wolters, a lot of catchers that we've had have their roots in middle infield.
Mm-hmm. And your hitting coach, Jordan Pacheco, spent time in the corner infield and did a lot of catching. So how do you manage, taking that mindset from the infield back behind the dish from your history and just maintaining and building your defensive, I guess, repertoire behind the dish?
Yeah, I think for me right now, the biggest thing is just being athletic behind the plate. I want to be really athletic with my hands, with my receiving, blocking, side to side agility. And then also when runners try stealing on me, or if there's bunts in front of the plate, or drop third strikes, like being athletic, moving quick, footwork, stuff like that.
Hmm. And I remember seeing something last year while you were in AA Hartford of really working on that revolutionary the stance behind the dish, a lot of the one leg down. What has helped you continue to develop? Has it been the one knee that you feel has helped you progress, or has it been anything else?
Yeah, so last season in 2023, I fully committed to one knee all the time, but I wasn't sure exactly like which stance
Hmm.
was best for me with the one knee, like whether that's right knee down, left knee down, kicking your leg out, not kicking your leg out. And so I'd say like the first half of the season last year, it was kind of like a little bit of trial and error with that, just kind of getting used to what was best for me and experimenting with stuff like that. And that kind of led to some inconsistencies with receiving and blocking and throwing. I had a lot of errors the first half of the season last year, and like that was a big thing that my coaches and I wanted me to work on and improve was less errors. And so I think having last season to kind of work on that and find what works best for me, and then having this off season as well to really cement that and work on it and hammer that stuff down. And I think this season it's really helped me a lot. And errors have gone down substantially, caught stealings have gone up, receiving's better. So yeah, it's been really good. And the stance that's working best for me right now is my left knee down and then just my right knee up. I don't really kick out my right leg very much, but um, like I was kind of using 3 or 4 stances last year, and our minor league catching coordinator Dustin Garneau, he made a really good point. He was like, specializing in 1 or 2 stances that you're best at instead of using 3 or 4 would help me be more consistent in all areas. And so that's what I did, and it's really helped me so far.
Mhm. Yeah, and I like hearing about this because it's an aspect of the game we don't hear a lot about in the development of catching and defense. I feel, we hear about what guys taking grounders and what pitchers are working on. So it's really cool to hear about this process of working as a catcher every day and getting better in receiving and all that stuff. Did you have a chance to maybe work with Jacob Stallings or Elias Diaz and just in that catching quarter in spring training?
Yeah, I worked with both those guys in spring training. Um, it was a great time with those guys, and really clicked well with them, especially Stallings. Like, with Diaz, there's more of a language barrier, so it's
Yeah.
tougher. But with Stallings, it was great talking with him, and he's a really good guy. And he is a Gold Glover, and so that's really cool. And yeah, I mean, like more than just the baseball stuff, just like as a guy, like we would all get together really well. Me, Stallings, Diaz, and McIver, and all the other catchers that were there. So it was fun in spring training being with everybody.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm wondering, especially with Stallings. Stallings has a reputation for being a teacher of the game, both for pitchers and for other catchers. So I'm wondering if he imparted any really interesting little tidbits of wisdom for you during that time.
Yeah, a little bit more so just like how to be a professional, like how to be a big leaguer, how to carry yourself, and just how to go about your business, being around big league pitchers, especially being a younger guy like me. So
Mhm.
stuff like that.
No, it's good. And kind of something we want to transition gears here a little bit, talk about the defensive end of things, but I want to get into the offensive side of things because one, I love that you're a switch hitter. I got a soft spot for switch hitters. It's the coolest thing because it's so tough, but it makes you feel cool. Like you can hit on both sides of the plate. I have one left-handed home run, Drew. So I got that in high school. That's about it. You have bested me in that pretty handily. But when did you first start doing the switch hitting? And what really got you starting to do that and working on it?
I started when I was like 8. I'm a natural right-handed hitter, and when I was 8 or so, started hitting lefty off the swing away. And
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you guys know what the swing away is.
I used to have one.
Yeah, and it's just like a little ball on a string, and you hit it, and it just stays in place.
Mhm.
But yeah, I started hitting lefty, and took a couple years to really work on it. And once I was like 10 or 11, I started doing it full time.
Mhm.
And some coaches would be like, "No, like we just want you to hit righty. Just hit righty for now." And then like me and my dad were like, "Nope, like I got to hit lefty."
Mhm.
And so I think starting at a young age really helped a lot. And some people, they start switch hitting really late into their career, and I don't know how they do it 'cause it's tough.
Yeah. And yeah, I remember that's what the Rockies did with like Dexter Fowler and some other guys. But
Mhm.
it's cool that you've been able to do this, throughout your high school career growing up, and now through the minors, where generally you've been pretty evenly split. How do you go about making sure that you're staying effective on and consistent on both sides of the plate when you're in? Because you'll probably see a lot more right-handers, as a professional. But how do you stay fresh and stay consistent on both sides with your approach?
Yeah, I've always found it a little bit easier to stay consistent left-handed just because there's more right-handed pitchers.
Hmm.
And but I think this year I faced a lot of left-handed pitchers, and so it's been easier to get into a groove and a rhythm right-handed. And
Hmm.
I've had a much better season this year right-handed than last year. Last year, I feel like I barely faced any left-handed pitchers. Like I think there was even one point I went like 2 weeks without facing a lefty. And so like the way that you kind of have to stay prepared is just hitting off the machine. And last year in Hartford, our hitting coach was Tom Soteris, and he throws lefty. So like I would always have him throw me lefty batting practice and curveballs and stuff like that. So that really helped me stay in rhythm and stuff. And so yeah, just like getting off the machine or left-handed BP anytime you can get it.
Hmm. Yeah. So you've been pretty successful this year. Your splits are looking really good, which, again, it's tough to do. And it's cool that you've been able to figure that out this year and really excel.
Yeah, thank you.
Have any of the coaches in the Rocky system talked to you about considering dropping switch hitting? I believe Ezekiel Tovar was originally a switch hitter and he ended up choosing one side versus Michael Tolia. There was some chattering prior to this season about how he might need to drop switch hitting, but he's ended up continuing to switch and finding success in the big leagues. So I'm wondering if the switch hitting is something the organization has encouraged you to keep going with.
No, no, nobody in the organization has brought that up. Like some of my teammates, like like they'll mess with me. They're like, "Hey, your lefty looks better. You should just only hit lefty." Or like vice versa. "Hey, your righty looks better right now. Just hit righty." Like some of my teammates will mess with me, but no coach has brought
Mhm.
it up. And like when I was in high school, I kind of went through a phase where I really liked my left-handed hitting better, and so I only did that for like almost a year. And like when I was playing with Team USA at one point, I was only hitting left-handed. And then at the start of the high school season, after that, I was only hitting left-handed. But then I faced this one left-handed pitching University of Texas commit. I forget his name, but he was pitching, and I was hitting left on left against him, and I was like, "This is so tough." And so I was like, "You know what? I'm going back to righty." And
Mhm.
like literally, I hadn't hit righty in like a year. I just switched over in the middle of the game. Like first at bat, I hit a single, and so um, for me, it's like no matter how bad like my switch hitting might be at that one point, I would always rather do that than hit left on left or right on right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you make the switch just like during the game?
Yeah, like literally during the game, I was like, I can't hit left on left anymore. And so I went up there righty. Haven't done it in like a year and then got to base it.
I don't know if you've ever seen the clip of Rockies Hall of Famer Larry Walker during the '98 All-Star game, coming up to the plate, and Larry's a lefty. He comes up, he's wearing his batting helmet backwards, decided he was going to start the at-bat as a righty.
No,
But that's just what
I've
that
seen the
reminds me
picture of
of.
the backwards helmet, but I didn't know the story behind it.
Yeah.
He
Facing his
was
buddy
facing
Randy
Randy
Johnson.
Johnson, and Randy Johnson was mad that they didn't make him finish the at-bat as a righty.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, Drew, something I wanted to ask too is it's especially a tough transition of you were drafted at a high school and signing with the Rockies. What's been the biggest adjustment or the difficulty in that adjustment when you're jumping up from high school into professional baseball? Was it a difficult transition, or what was that like for you?
Yeah, I think it's different for everybody. It just really depends on who you are as a person. Like for me, like I wasn't too worried about missing out on college because like y- missing out on the education definitely was like the worst part of not going to college, obviously. But like the party side of college and stuff like that, like missing out on that wasn't really
Hmm.
too much of a thing for me. Like for me, I just want to play baseball. Like that was the most important thing for me is like just playing baseball. And like what I always say is my dream was always to play professional baseball, not to play college baseball.
Hmm.
And so I wanted to, go play with the Rockies. And I think the adjustment for me more so was like getting used to the everyday aspect of it. because in high school, you play 2 or 3 games, and if you have a bad game, you can take a couple days to just kind of forget about it. But like here, you're playing every day. If you're going through a slump, it's tough every day. Or like if you're tired, you're not feeling that good mentally or physically, like you got to show up every day. And so that was the biggest thing for me. But I know it's different for other guys.
Yeah, I mean, you went from getting drafted by the Rockies to you played 79 games in your first year with the organization. That's a pretty big increase in workload, and it only keeps getting higher as you get through the levels.
Yeah, it has been, but I think every year I've gotten more used to the workload, so that's good.
Yeah, you're young, your knees are still fresh.
Yeah, for now.
For now, hey, in a pinch, we could always throw you back in the infield.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Drew, it's been cool to see your progression, and something I wanted to ask is, as you get more closer to being on the cusp of, cracking through the big leagues, maybe even this year, how do you, temper kind of the expectations or any pressure that, of what you might hear from the outside of, oh, he's the franchise's next top catcher, he's going to be the generational catcher for the team. How do you kind of take that, publicity or expectation, just kind of temper it and just keep staying true to who you are as a player?
Yeah, like you said, I just stay true to myself. I just be authentic. And I don't know, I don't really get too nervous or worried about what happens in the future. I just give it to God, trust God, whatever happens is meant to happen. And that takes all the anxiety off me. So, yeah.
It's pretty much the only thing you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's awesome to see that and that progression. Before we let you go here, I know Evan did have some quick random questions for you.
So you've played now in every level of Rockies organization. Who's your favorite mascot so far?
Favorite mascot? Okay, that's a good question. I think the first one I have to go with is Ribby from Spokane.
There you go.
Well, first off, like the mascot was super funny because the mascot would always come out and like do this dance where like it was kind of like this, and like one of our teammates, Colin Simpson, he goes by Tank. His nickname's Tank, and so like he would always imitate Ribby with that dance. It was like always really funny. And also like those uniforms too, the Red Band Trout uniforms, the hats are sick, so it's really cool.
It is such a nice looking set, and Ribby is just such a fun mascot. I had the absolute delight to interview the Spokane mascot coordinator a couple months ago, and just was a ton of fun. But I'm glad you said Ribby because he's one of my personal favorites.
Yeah,
Orbit's pretty good too.
Orbit is great.
We don't want him coming after you.
We don't want him after me.
Chomper kind of freaks me out. I'm not gonna lie.
Chomper? Which one is Chomper?
Hartford, the with the big teeth.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I feel like Chomper wasn't around as much as some of the other mascots.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think he's relatively new in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Cool. What's on your shirt there, Drew?
Montero.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And he came in one day. He was wearing this shirt. Everybody was like, "Dude, what the heck are you wearing?" And then he was like, "Do you guys want some of these shirts?" And he just gave them out to everybody.
So he came into the clubhouse wearing himself on his shirt, and asked if people wanted stuff.
Oh man!
Oh, I love Monty.
Along with teammates, real quick, who's been maybe with some of your favorite teammates that you've had so far working through the system and whatnot?
I think right now our catcher group that we have here, me, Willie, and Cope, it's a really good group of guys. Like we get along really well together, and every day is fun seeing each other in the locker room and doing drills and stuff. Like we'll compete. We do this thing like where we compete for gold stars. So like we'll do a receiving competition, like a blocking competition. And like whoever wins gets a gold star. And like if somebody messes up, like we'll freak out and we'll throw stuff. And so like it's really fun being with them every day.
That's awesome.
And especially you and Willie Mack both having really, really strong seasons. Both of you hitting the ball with authority as well.
Yeah, I mean we're killing it. I think honestly we might have the best backstop in the minor leagues. So
yeah,
good catcher group.
I mean we're biased, but definitely one of our favorite groups to watch.
Yeah. Any other questions that you have for him, Evan?
I think it's tough, but I'm going to say favorite minor league stadium you've played at so far.
That's another good one. I'd say probably Hartford. I think Hartford's really cool. It has a really good feel to it. It's got a much different feel than Albuquerque. I feel like Hartford, it's kind of like, it's not crammed into like an intersection, but like it has like a tighter feel to it where the stadium's more on top of you. And like you're at an intersection downtown, and like Albuquerque, it's a lot more spread out. Feels like it's got a lot more land and just like a bigger feel to it. But these two stadiums, Hartford and Albuquerque, are probably up there at the top for me.
Nice.
And yeah, they're beautiful stadiums. I love Albuquerque. Been down there a couple of times. Beautiful stadium. It's a good place.
Yeah, huge scoreboard. The trees in center field are really cool. I wish they still had that hill, though. That hill is really cool.
It's because you don't have to deal with it, Drew.
Yeah, I can just hit the ball there and hopefully they miss it.
Yeah, but it's been an absolute delight having you here, Drew. You're a good guy, good head on your shoulders, and it's been a pleasure watching you this season and following you along in your progression since you were drafted. You know, one of those top defensive catchers, and it's cool to see your growth, and good to know you're a good dude too.
Yeah. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you guys.
You're welcome. This has been Affected by Altitude. We've been joined by Drew Romo, and I'm Skyler. That's Evan. We'll see you next time here on Affected by Altitude. This has been Affected by Altitude, a Colorado Rockies podcast with Rocky Mountain Rooftop, a proud affiliate of the Fans First Sports Network. Catch new episodes every Monday on wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Be sure to follow us on YouTube as well for video versions of the show.